I have a really cool idea for this week's project that will begin with the standard 20-gallon long aquarium. I can't really use it like this though. I'll have to take it apart and make a few modifications. I do this very regularly, and in fact most of the glass that you see me use is from dismantled aquariums like this one. If you don't mind putting in a little more work, it's a great cost-effective option. I know I've shown this process before, but I wanted to outline it again in this build just to give you a better idea of what's involved. To do this, I have two primary tools, including a razor blade and a razor scraper. I typically start with the bottom frame. To remove it, I simply cut along the top of the frame until I make it through. It usually takes a few passes. Then I go back with the scraper and cut into the silicone under the frame. This loosens it up further. At this point, the frame can simply be ripped off the tank. I repeat this process to remove the frame on the top. This one is usually a little easier than the previous. From here, I go back and cut the silicone on the inside of the tank. This will loosen things further. What's really holding the glass together though is the silicone between the pieces. To cut through this, I start at the very top. Then I carefully work down the height of the tank. At long last, the panels can simply be pulled down. The bottom seams need cut, but there's usually not much to address. After that, I go back and scrape off all of the excess silicone. I'll cut the glass as well. I'll begin by taking a few measurements. Then I clamp a straight edge along the marks. I apply a little bit of oil to the cutting wheel so it glides easily over the glass. I start at the far end, apply consistent pressure, and score the glass in a single pass. For thicker pieces like this, I often use the other end of the tool to split along the scored line. To do this, you flip the glass over and lightly tap along the line. After a little bit of time, a fissure will form. This makes it easier in some cases. Otherwise, I score it like before and snap it along the edge of my workbench. It's good practice to sand the cut edges with wet sandpaper to remove sharp edges. Wetting it prior is key so that debris doesn't go airborne. After all of that, I rinse away any remaining debris. Let's put it back together. I lay everything out accordingly and tape along the edges for clean beads. This isn't necessary, but it makes the process a little easier. From there, I wipe down the edges with isopropyl alcohol to remove oil and debris. Now it's silicone time. I go and apply 100% silicone to the appropriate edges. Then I assemble everything and anchor it with tape on the outside. I smooth the silicone on the inside with my finger to clean things up. From there I pull off the tape to reveal clean beads. Then I leave the silicone to cure for 24 hours. After that I go back to remove the tape and scrape away any excess silicone. I also remove the piece of paper that I built it on. To finalize the look, I attach a piece of window frost film to the back. Like usual, I just spray some water on the glass and apply it with a squeegee. I'll also include a piece of neoprene on the bottom to level things out. If you're working with rimless tanks, I highly recommend something like this. And after all of that, we're left with this beautiful rimless tank. It's certainly not perfect, but it's gonna get the job done. The process that you just saw is easy for me because I've done it so many times. If you're uncomfortable working with glass, just buy a pre-made tank or pre-cut pieces from a glass shop. This will end up being a specialty aquarium of sorts, so having the shallow front made sense. I'll explain more about that later on, but in the meantime, let's do a little scaping. The largest components I'll include are these eucalyptus roots. I want them on either side of the tank like so. The thing is that they're a little too large for the enclosure as is and won't work for the vision I have in mind, so I gotta make a few modifications. I took them to the miter saw and cut off a few of the excess segments. Doing this allowed me to get a better fit for what I had in mind initially. As I worked through this though, I realized it just wasn't going to work. One of the main features of this tank is going to be these glass containers, and going with the original scape layout just wouldn't provide enough room for them. Plus it doesn't look that good, but that's beside the point. I had to experiment with a number of different layouts before I could get something remotely viable. It was really challenging because I had to leave room for the containers as I just explained, and I need space behind the scape for pumps that I'll add later on. This is the layout that I ended up with. It might not look like much now, but trust me, as it unfolds here, it's gonna look incredible. You'll notice that I mixed a little bit of lava rock into the scape. I used these as placeholders to get a better idea of how the scape could look. I didn't like how this branch fit in the design though, so I chopped a little bit off the end for a better look. After that, I decided to swap out the lava rocks with Seiryu stone. I really like the texture on these stones, and I think they'll look great in the design. All of these components will function best if they're locked together, and expanding foam seemed like the right tool for the job. I only sprayed a little bit between a few areas to stabilize the scape. While that cures, I'll drill into the containers from earlier. This is easy enough. To start, I taped a guide over the bottom of them that's the diameter of the diamond-tipped hole saw. This makes it easier to get a clean cut and acts as a reservoir for water, which keeps the bit from overheating. Then I set up the drill and let it do all the work. I'm not putting any force on this at all. The weight of the drill is doing everything. Eventually I made it through. I rinsed them off and ended up with clean holes. I'll use RO bulkhead fittings to tie it all together. They're outfitted with an O-ring, which will create a watertight seal. I chose these because they'll securely connect to the tubing without any kinks. Plus I had a few extras lying around, so I might as well put them to use. After securing a length of tubing on each, I put them back. That was easy enough, except for one. I had to use a Forstner drill bit to remove some of the branch. I really liked the look of everything, so I locked them in place. A dab of silicone on each of the contact points did the trick. I let the silicone cure for 24 hours, and this is the result. It needs some more hardscape, but I really like how it looks. Getting it to this point wasn't easy though. Don't be fooled by the footage. Despite how simple this may appear, it took me several days to get the right look. And even though I really like where it's going, I should probably hook up the pump before I move any further. I decided to use 2 of them because I doubted that one would be sufficient to power all 3 of the containers. I connected the smaller ones together with an RO splitter. I put one in line with the large container as well to get a better angle, but I capped off the other end. This all looked good to me, so I filled it up for a test run. Even at this point, I think it looks awesome. What do you think? With the mechanics addressed, we can move forward with the details. I need to create a barrier to keep debris out of the pumps. I decided to use some filter floss to make it happen. I stuffed this in all of the crevices behind the scape. This makes it easy to keep substrate and stones out of where the pumps are located. I went on to embellish the scape further. I put a few more stones throughout to make things a little more cohesive. For the fine details, I began with some 2B limestone chunks. These go well with Seiryu stone since it's also limestone based. I added these throughout the scape in various locations. I'll fill the majority of the space in the foreground with coarse natural colored sand. I like the larger granules, and I think it creates a nice contrast between elements without being excessively bright. At this point, I wanted even more detail. A few more pieces of 2B limestone seemed like a good choice. I finished it off with limestone gravel and limestone sand. Let's move back to the containers. I put a piece of tubing in each to raise the minimum water height. That way it can minimize the amount of water sent back into the tank when the pumps are shut off. I capped these off with Metalamat to keep debris out when that occurs. I also included a T on the largest one to encourage water to flow to the sides. As for substrate, I went with a mix of aqua soil, a clay-based substrate, and leca. The aqua soil will provide nutrients for the plants and buffer the water. The clay substrate will add some rigidity, and the leca fills in the space while allowing the mix to stay properly aerated. All three are fairly porous, which is a great thing for bacteria. This will give them plenty of space to colonize. I wanted to leave a little bit of room so that it would be easier to add the plants. I've selected an array of plants that will readily grow in this type of environment, including Photonia stripes forever, Ficus pumila curli, Hemigraphis rhomboida, Cryptanthus nubicola, and Syngonium podophyllum. As I began to plant this, my initial idea was to plant the Syngonium in the largest container. Unfortunately, it would have been too tall if I did, so I decided to put it in the smaller container instead. I got it all situated and covered the roots with more substrate. I added some Hemigraphis in front of it as well. Then I moved back to the larger one and added the ficus. I placed it near the right side and filled it in with more substrate. I used my tweezers to plant the back half of this with Hemigraphis and Photonia. I topped it off with gravel to keep the substrate from flowing out. Then I filled in the foreground with Cryptanthus. This might look a little large for a foreground plant right now, but both the Photonia and Hemigraphis will grow much taller than it. I repeated this process once again for a third and final time. After all of that, I moved the tank over to the rack so I could get it up and running. Also, for those of you wondering, I outfitted the tank with an LED aquarium light. Obviously the main feature of the tank are the filter orbs, but I think the water feature needs a little more spice to it, namely a few pops of green. Süßwassertang seemed like the perfect choice as it doesn't need a planting substrate to grow. I also think this would benefit from some floating plants. I have a plethora of Salvinia minima at the moment, so that seemed like the way to go. Of course, duckweed snuck in as well, but that's alright. Both are welcomed because they'll help filter the system alongside the other elements. This tank holds around 11 gallons of water and is a decent size. However, a lot of the volume is populated by the hardscape and other components, so the inhabitants have to be on the small side. I have several groups of fish in my quarantine area that could work, but a small skull of pork chop rasbora seemed like the way to go. I've had these for months now, and it's great to finally get them into a setup. As I'm sure you could have guessed, I gotta add some snails as well. Also, to ensure the setup is safe for these animals right away, I'll add some Fritz Turbo Start. This was provided by Fritz Aquatics with a paid promotion, but you should know by now that I use this stuff regardless. It's a good measure to take because the nitrifying bacteria will help the fish thrive in their new home. There you have it, the Bog Orb Filtered Aquarium. I really like the look of it, and I think it's a unique type of setup. I don't know about you, but I just think it has a cool vibe to it. In some ways, I guess you could say that it's also the spiritual successor to the Upflow Overflow Aquarium. Although it uses some of the same concepts and shares similarities, it's a lot different though. Allow me to give a brief explanation of how this works. As you know, the pumps behind the scape send water up through the planting vessels. Here the water passes between the various substrate components and over the side where the cycle repeats. While this occurs, the plants are doing the brunt of the work. They absorb ammonia, nitrate, and other undesirable compounds from the water, which would otherwise create less than ideal conditions. This occurs in a properly cycled tank, even if plants aren't included thanks to beneficial bacteria. Plants of any kind will bolster this process though, and make conditions even more favorable. That's due to their ability to export nutrients from the system and convert it into plant growth. And although aquatic plants do a great job at this, they're no match for their terrestrial counterparts. With unlimited access to CO2, these plants are far more robust and effective. That's why I take plant growth above the rim any chance I can get. As I've explained before, systems like this only become more effective as they mature. The cool thing about this one is that we're able to view that occur as the roots fill in the orbs. It will look neat, but that's also the primary drawback to this particular aquascape. Eventually the plants will get root bound and require pruning. That will be a little bit of an annoyance, but it's not all bad. Trimming back the roots a little bit as well as the foliage will help perpetuate this cycle. It will also give me an excuse to change things up a little bit. There's more to it than that, but this should help paint a clearer picture for those of you who are new to this sort of setup. I want to know what you think of the current look though. It's kind of simple yet strangely elegant at the same time. At least that's what I think. Regardless, I'm excited to see how it progresses, and I'm glad to finally be able to share this with you. I've been thinking this one over for a while now. Anyway, that's all I have for you in this one. If you don't mind, let me know what you think about it in the comments, and please give the video some love with a thumbs up to help support this kind of content. As always, I hope you all enjoyed the video and learned something new. Until next time, Serpa Squad, take care and peace.